We're here with one of my biggest projects I've done probably ever, and this is platinuming The Last of Us 1. Not part 1, it's not the remake, it is The Last of Us Remastered on the PS4. Um, I have played this game before, and I have earned trophies, but I've only earned the DLC trophies, which would be something like it would be like the multiplayer trophies. I have not beaten anything like beating the game. I've done that on the PS3 on my old account, but I've not done it on this. So it is a complete reset when it comes to the trophies. So we are at basically starting zero. The trophy list is at 0%. It's not at anything because the multiplayer trophies, for the most part, are pure DLC. I'm doing this on grounded difficulty. I'm not doing this on Survivor. I'm not doing this on, the max you can do it on to just get the platinum. I'm going for the grounded DLC trophies on this. So we're going to have a tough fucking time. This was one of the hardest challenges I've ever given myself. I thought this wouldn't be that bad. It was terrible. This was hard, and this is why I have not uploaded in a long time. This took a long time just to record, and to edit has taken ages. The platinum for this game is a 4 to 10 and requires at least 2 playthroughs and will take 40 hours. It does have 50 trophies, but because I'm going for the grounded, it will be 52 and will probably also increase the difficulty to about a 6 or a 7 out of 10. So, let's do the steps on how I'm going to achieve this platinum. For step 1, I'm going to beat the game on grounded and collect as many collectibles as possible. I won't be able to get them all since some of them are behind shift doors, and because you're in grounded, you won't be able to get all the doors in one playthrough. It's just not going to happen. For step 2, we're going to beat the game on grounded plus to clean up collectibles and get the trophy for beating the game on New Game Plus. For step 3, if it's needed, we're going to clean up and to get the last few collectibles and misc trophies we need before step 4, where we're going to go get the rest of the multiplayer trophies, which is just 2 trophies for the platinum. So starting off, we're starting our first playthrough going for beating the game on grounded difficulty. This is where I'm going to talk a lot about the playthrough itself and saying the hardest parts I've had. It's going to be a lot of no trophies is what it's going to be. We're not going to earn our first trophy until we beat this game on grounded difficulty. There's going to be no trophies unlocked until we beat it. So this is going to be a whole talk about me struggling on grounded difficulty. I definitely think I made this harder for myself by doing it on grounded, but because I'm a stubborn idiot who couldn't back down from what I had started, this would easily end up taking over 80 hours, especially with how bad the multiplayer trophies were for finishing each side of the factions. They were probably about 10 to 20 hours each side. So it would be a long time until we got our first trophy, which of course, like I said, is beating the game. So let's start with getting through grounded for the first time. The main person we're going to be playing through in this game is named Joel. In the prologue, you get to really see it all unfold. You're his daughter for the most part, and then, she passes away and he's all alone. And Joel basically becomes a bandit in himself. He pretty much is, and for a while there, he literally was a bandit. But when you're playing him now, he's kind of just a freelancer, kind of just like with this girl named Tess, live from job to job, paycheck to paycheck from doing these jobs, from doing these odd jobs. And right now, our guns were stolen from a guy we were doing a deal with, and we have to go get those guns back. Right away, we end up getting one of our first collectibles, and it's a Firefly pendant. I'm not going to be showing getting many of the collectibles since there is such a ridiculous amount of them. But now we are at the docks. This is where the guy is who stole our guns from us, and we have to get through these docks to get to him, which is a ton of enemies and a hard stealth section. However, for me, it took about only 10 minutes to get through it. It was just a lot of patience, a lot of jankiness, a lot of weird shit. I just had to... You have to play different on grounded difficulty. You really do. You have to play around corners. You have to throw bricks at people's faces to stun them so that you can at least get that hit on them, because if you don't, you're going to get shot in one shot. So after getting through the docks, we're at his office, and he's trying to kill us, and he doesn't want to give us our guns. So we do a little chase sequence, and pretty much 5 seconds later, we decide we're just going to kill him. He let us know that he gave the guns to the Fireflies and did a deal with them, and just so happens that the leader of the Fireflies is there and tries to cut a deal with you so you get your guns back. All you have to do is smuggle something valuable for them, more in the lines of someone valuable to them. This is where you meet Ellie. I end up just skipping the cutscene to save time since I already know the story and know I'll have to play through this game at least 2 times. If I don't skip through the cutscenes, it's going to be an extra 2 hours like per playthrough on top of everything. A bit after accepting to smuggle Ellie across the country to the Firefly's home base, we find out she's actually infected. Turns out though that she's immune to the virus, and that's why she's so valuable to them. To them, she's seen as a possible cure for the virus. We finally find our first shiv door of the playthrough to open it up. Inside we only find a few parts and pills, but it's still a ton more than you'd normally find out there in grounded mode. Here we run into our first actual roadblock of the game. 4 runners and 1 clicker in a decently small and condensed area. The problem isn't really the runners, but for the fact that the 1 clicker is mixed in there. The clicker one-shotting me makes this insanely hard if I ever get caught, and runners can be pretty hard to stealth compared to humans. Already on my second try, I was being careless and going louder right away. I had a good attempt going until the last runner decided to turn around last moment and alert the clicker. I ended up panicking and just throwing a brick instead of running away. A huge mistake that ended up getting me killed. Then again, on my last runner, he turns suddenly and sees me. Some jank ends up happening, but I get the kill and actually run away this time to avoid the clicker. Sadly, my dumbass still didn't know that I needed a shiv to stealth kill a clicker, so I ended up getting killed. Our lack of patience cost me the next attempt yet again. This time, I decided to take the clicker out earlier on, stupidly using my shiv, which I'd need for a locked door later on. I was only stuck on this for about 15 minutes, but to me it felt like 2 hours, and was the first moment I genuinely got frustrated.
Come on down.
So this is the first moment I find going for collectibles on a grounded playthrough actually making my life a living hell. This part of the game wouldn't have been hard if I just walked right through it, but instead I had to go for that collectible, so I had to go from one side to get the code to the other side to be able to open the safe. And actually opening it, yeah, that's a whole nother level of difficulty. This entire part was stressful as hell, and my heart was beating out of my chest worrying that a clicker would just come out of nowhere and get alerted. And just like that, I get detected, and all hell breaks loose. And now it's time to do it all over again. I got to a point where I tried relying on the AI to kill all of the zombies for me, while I hoped just none of them would come and actually kill me. Somehow this actually was working, and the enemies just didn't think I existed. This game is polished by all means, but when you play the way I did because of grounded difficulty, it really shows the holes in the game. I finally got the safe open, but that didn't mean I was clear from failing at all. After almost 20 minutes of attempts later, I decided to get the safe in another playthrough and just get the fuck out. There was no chance I was going to get it on grounded. I came to realize that, and I just had to give up on it. After skipping forward a good bit to catch up with the story, Tess sacrificed herself after getting infected, and now we've met Bill. He gives us a good bit of supplies and gives me a new weapon, the nail bomb. This will actually be pretty useful since it packs a pretty good punch. We also got a shotgun here as well, and right after Tess sacrificed herself, we also got a hunting rifle. Now we are easily at some of the worst sections I've dealt with today. First, we had to get through the graveyard full of clickers. This took a few tries by itself. Then, we had to get through the neighborhood. Also full of clickers, but now you got runners mixed in as well. So I can be seen, not just heard. After getting through a small part of it, I still had to get through some houses before I was cleared for this section. Getting through the houses was a breeze, but now comes the hardest parts of the area. The school. I died here a lot. After Bill flexes on my ass and says that the easy part is over with, we go into the school, not before almost dying from another horde of runners coming at us, but I got through the window just in time, and we have entered the school. Now that I get into the school, I had to try and stealth my way through it, and this part got no easier for me. I tried not stealthing it and trying to use build to just kill them off. That didn't go too well. I even tried just running past them all, but more and more enemies end up showing up, so that doesn't work either. Thinking I was finally close to getting through all of this bullshit, I ended up getting a pretty big surprise. Something I completely forgot about, the bloater. It's going to take pretty much all my resources to kill him, and they're throwing regular infected at me during this boss fight. After finally killing the bloater and recovering a bit of ammo in the back, I end up having to fight a few more infected before I'm even out of this. I actually end up dying to the last few infected, because I fucked up with my bad aim. And I end up finding out I have to restart the entire boss fight. There is no checkpoint after killing the bloater. If you die to those next 2 infected, you have to fight the bloater again. Checkpoints in this game, man, they just sometimes don't make any fucking sense. And it makes those 3 infected at the very end that much more stressful to deal with. Second attempt was no problem, however. Thank God we end up getting out of the school and that section is now done. I thought the worst was behind me, but no. This is the worst section come to date. Probably the worst section in the game. It is up there. You have to push this truck downhill and fight 3 different waves of enemies. You can't go too far from the truck either, or Ellie will get attacked by a random infected that spawns out of nowhere. This was fucking horrible, and I was literally stuck on this for an hour. Using Bill to kill the clickers was easily the best strat to get through this without using every resource I had on me. Most AI teammates won't really do this, but because he has a machete, he's actually very reliable. He also has a shotgun that does a good amount of damage. You let him fight a clicker for about 30 seconds to a minute, he will take it out. Finally, I got to the 3rd and final wave I need to get through. But it was just too much on the first try for me, and I ended up dying pretty fucking quickly. I struggled to get back to wave 3, but after a few more attempts I was there, thankfully getting through it this time, and not having to reset all the way back. All I had left to do was push the truck and jump in.
Hear that sound, Bill? Yeah. Well, that means you back to here too. Get the fuck. Go, Mort!
Yet again, I'm thinking I'm in the clear, and I get at least a moment to breathe, but no. That would be ridiculous. After a few attempts, I somehow take out all the guys staying stealth, and of fucking course, 3 more guys show up after you take them all out. After some attempts, I get one of the strangest deaths I've had so far. Eventually, I stopped fucking risking it and used my gun. Melee can just be way too fucking buggy to even give it a chance. Because of that, I'm able to take out the final guy and get this section done after almost another hour of attempts.
I think that's the last of them. You okay?
A little while later, we had our next encounter at the library. It's also filled with enemies and expects me to stealth it somehow. Obviously, that doesn't go too well. Being on grounded mode, it tends to never go too well. There was one guy in the way of my exit, and of fucking course, I just had to make it interesting by killing him right in the sights of another guy. Could have snuck right by him, but nope. Had to go ahead and try and kill him. Luckily, I end up getting away by the skin of my teeth, but sadly, I did miss out on one of the optional conversations with Ellie, since I had to kill all of the enemies in that area to even be able to initiate it. So we'll have to worry about that in our second playthrough. It would be quite a while before I ran into enemies again, but oh god, did they ever make up for that. This was horrible. Every attempt felt like forever, and it was really hard to take all these guys on without getting spotted even once. Apparently, this guy was the fucking Batman to me and hiding in the shadows. Somehow I never saw him. Instead of ending my attempt though, Ellie saves my ass and bails me out of trying this all over again. Unaware at the time, I was walking right up to where the end of the section was. Sadly, a guy walked up to me around the corner and caught me completely off guard. I killed him with no problem, but another guy was right behind me, killing me and making me have to try this all over again. This attempt of mine took alone 12 fucking minutes. On the next try, I got pretty impatient and grabbed a guy way too into the open, and it cost me the entire attempt. With the way I was playing in this playthrough, I ran into some really jank moments like this, which often blew my stealth and way more often than not would get me killed. Of course, Ellie saves my ass again. I tried relying on the jank of the game by sitting in a bathroom and getting them to come to me. Even then, I wasn't able to take them all out before I'd be inevitably killed. I tried getting the optional conversation with Ellie, and it just wouldn't show up. Little did I know at the time that it did already count. I did it in a previous attempt where I died. I just didn't know it would actually carry over. But go figure, while trying to do this, enemies sneak up to me into the bathroom and get me caught. Stuff like this is what makes this game so fucking difficult. After over an hour of attempts yet again, I finally got to where I needed to go after killing the guy guarding the area. I tell you, man, doing this on Grounded is just fucking brutal. These sections would take 10 minutes tops on lower difficulties, and it takes an hour plus instead. And just when I thought yet again the worst was behind me, I get hit with an even harder section, filled with runners, clickers, and even a bloater. My heart was beating so damn fast. Being alone and not knowing what would be around any corner was genuinely fucking terrifying. Once I got the generator on, I knew where to go to make my escape, but I didn't know where they would spawn more enemies, including the bloater. Getting caught off guard by them spawning more enemies, including hearing the bloater, pretty much cemented my death at that point. It took a few more attempts, but I knew once I got the generator back on again, I'd be more prepared and be able to make it out. This may have not taken as long, but it was definitely the most nerve-wracking section. I was getting comfortable after a little while with no bumps in the road, but of course, it was the calm before the storm. This was the biggest obstacle. I keep on saying this, but it keeps on happening. An obstacle after a bigger obstacle, and a bigger obstacle, it just keeps on getting bigger and bigger and bigger. But this area is filled with bandits, and most of them have another watching them.
Holy shit!
After a few attempts, I was able to get down to the final guy. Once I killed him though, no dialogue was starting. Saying, like, that's all of them, you can come down. Which confused the shit out of me. Until I realized that when you finally take them all out, another 6 bandits come out from the back. But for some reason though, they were bugged and wouldn't move unless I at least startled them. So I had to throw a brick to get their attention. But for some fucking reason, he quickly ended up walking back to his spot. So I couldn't get them out of there long enough to even take them out. When I tried again and stayed close enough, I was able to actually get him, and it alerted the rest of them, which made them all come out. Sadly, there was just too many of them, and I wasn't sure where to go or how to play it, and got myself killed. After more attempts, I found a strategy of sitting up in the sniper's nest, but inside the building instead of the catwalk that the sniper is normally on. For some reason, the AI is very buggy with this spot and will run back and forth, usually making Ellie shoot them or giving me a pretty free kill when they eventually jump through the window I'm sitting under. Even with this strat being great, it would take over 10 minutes in one attempt, and you could die to shit like this. Even with it being lengthy and buggy as fuck, it was by far the best strat I had to beat this area. I just have to hope for the best and have things go my way. After one of the longest hours I've ever gone through later, I was down to my last guy. Thankfully, Ellie killed him, and I didn't have to risk dealing with a bullshit death from Jank.
Alright, come on down.
Hearing that dialogue, knowing that I had got through, gave me a feeling of relief like no other. Hours later at this point, I've met a new pair of survivors named Sam and Henry. One still being a kid and the other being adult, but both being brothers. Joel ended up activating a trap and separated him from Ellie and Henry from Sam. Up until this point, it was pretty much smooth sailing, since I could rely on 3 other people to do most of the heavy lifting for me, but now we got a really tough stealth section, in quotation marks. At least, that's what I had thought it was. Come to learn, this is downright impossible to actually stealth, and so I had to inevitably rely on going loud and just hoping to be able to kill all of them. After a bunch of failed attempts, I was finally making good progress and was getting close to killing them all. Unfortunately, that came short when I got caught off guard by one coming around the corner, and just like that, the attempt was over. On the bright side, that was easily my best attempt so far and helped me in believing I'd be able to actually get through it soon. Of course, not without a few more failures. It wasn't until another 10 attempts later that I found myself in a spot to get through this. I was finally down to my last one to kill after using almost all my ammo and resources to take them out. All I had to do was take out this last one, and I came short and got myself killed because I didn't use my gun. Right on the very next try, I was down to killing my last two. I ended up whiffing a shot, and so I forced myself to use my fists, even though that's insanely risky to do, and I just lost one of the previous attempts to it. But luckily, I got him, and when it came to the last one, I wasn't going to let it happen again. So I shot them and finally got through it, after well over 20 attempts and almost a full hour yet again. Before getting out of the tunnel section, we had to do a defense part while waiting for Ellie and Sam to get the door open. This was pretty hard at first since I didn't really understand how it worked. I got overrun very quickly and didn't really know what to do. I ended up trying to throw a Molotov right where they spawn, and that ended up making it way easier to get through. I didn't get overrun nearly as easily, and it killed at least 10 of them at a time while throwing a Molly up where they spawned. Right on my third attempt of using this strat, it was already working really well, and it was looking like I'd be able to get through it no problem. And that's exactly what I did. Jumping way ahead, a few days later, I had little to no trouble with the rest of the game and was right at the end of the game. All I had to do was get past a group of enemies guarding my exit. Once I got through it, it was just smooth sailing from there, right to the end. I was able to do it. I beat the game ungrounded and got my trophies, but not before I also got a trophy to find all the collectibles. Luckily, I was able to get that done on my first playthrough, but we still had many more missing. For some reason, the difficulty trophies didn't pop together, so that dopamine hit didn't really hit as hard, and it only showed me beating the game on grounded difficulty. Luckily, when I checked the trophies, they were all there, so it wasn't bugged or anything. I was completely fine. Just didn't get the dopamine hit. Now that we finally got through the game ungrounded, it was time to do it all over again. Yep, it was required to beat the game on New Game Plus for the plat, and they also had a DLC trophy for beating it on Grounded Plus. So of fucking course, my dumbass thought it was a good idea to put myself through this for a second time. I wouldn't end up getting my next trophy actually until a bit into my second playthrough, and that was for engaging in all optional dialogue. Sadly, I forgot to hit the record button, and it was just only this shitty screenshot, so that's all you get. My next one was for collecting all comics, where I somehow made the same mistake of only getting a screenshot for it. The next day, I earned the trophy for upgrading Joel fully with supplements. After that, I got the trophy for collecting all training manuals. Next, I was getting my trophy for opening every shift door, at least that's what I thought, but I actually ended up missing a shift door earlier in this playthrough, and because I didn't know which shift door it was, that meant that on my third playthrough, I had to make sure to open every shift door along the way, just to be safe. While in this room though, I did get the trophy for acquiring all Firefly pendants. After about a week, I finally got through my second playthrough of Grounded mode. I will admit it was much easier the second time around. Certain sections I had in my first playthrough that would last an hour only ended up being a few minutes in my second. Now we got the trophy for beating the game on New Game Plus and Grounded Plus, but now we have to go back on a third playthrough to do a little bit of cleanup. I'll have to be able to survive all of Ellie's jokes. I somehow missed one in my second playthrough. I have to fully upgrade all weapons because I played on Grounded mode twice. I just didn't get enough upgrade materials to fully upgrade my weapons in 2 playthroughs. I'll also have to find all artifacts. I was not able to find all of them in my second playthrough, and then craft every item, which I somehow also didn't do in my second playthrough. And then lastly, I'll have to open all Shiv doors. So we'll have a lot of cleanup in the third playthrough. However, we will be playing on the easiest difficulty, so it will be a breeze. So I booted up a third playthrough on the easiest difficulty and knocked them all out.
Doesn't matter how much you push the envelope, it'll still be stationary.
What is that?
It's a joke book. No pun intended. Volume 2 by Will Livingston.
Let's keep going.
Bakers trade bread recipes on a need-to-know basis. Need.
I get it.
A moon rock tastes better than an earthly rock because it's meatier. Oh man, that made me hungry. A backwards poet writes in verse.
Do you even get that?
Of course not. I used to be addicted to soap, but I'm clean now.
All right, I've actually never heard that one.
That's it. That's all I got.
Getting close.
There you go.
I hope there's something
Unlock all
good in this
Shiv
one.
doors. There we go. And where is the collectible? Bunch of arrows. It's in here? There it is. Find all artifacts. Oh my god, man. I've made this so much harder on myself than I have to have it be. Lastly, we had one more thing to do for the platinum, and that was the multiplayer trophies. I only had to get 2 of them. One for completing the Hunter journey and one for completing the Firefly journey. All you have to do is choose a faction side, either the Hunter or the Firefly side, and play about 50 multiplayer matches to finally get to the end of that faction's journey, and then you do the other faction after that. It was pretty easy and straightforward, and was honestly a little anticlimactic for being the last trophies for the platinum. Either way, after a few days of grinding out the multiplayer trophy, we got the Hunter Journey trophy, and a few days after that, we also got the Firefly Journey done as well, along with the platinum. It was a long grind that took well over 50 hours or so to get, and it was tough. It was definitely my hardest platinum to date, but I definitely plan to do some harder ones in the future. I'm sorry it took so long for me to get this video out, but this was over 40 hours of recording. I recorded the entire playthrough for both playthroughs, and it was just horrible. I am very happy I got through this though, and I'm very happy I was able to get the platinum. It was still a great time. It just really tested me at times. But yeah guys, that is going to do it for the video. I do hope you enjoyed it. Hopefully I will be uploading again very soon rather than later. But yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.